Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Lenard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable, where we bring you the brightest minds, boldest innovators, and real-world game changers in real estate. Today's guest is a legend in creating not just success, but freedom through real estate. Mitch Ribak isn't just a real estate coach. He's a visionary who teaches agents how to build a business that works for them, not the other way around. With decades of experience and a proven track record, Mitch has helped countless agents break free from the burnout cycle and design lives they love. If you're ever wondered how to stop grinding and start living, this episode is your blueprint. Let's dive in with the one and only Mitch Ribak. Mitch,
how you doing?
Thank you for coming on the show. This is awesome. It's great to have a coach finally. You know, I'm super stoked to hear your side of the business and what you do for us. Mitch, take us back to the early days. How did your journey in real estate begin? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so it was I woke up at 5 years old. I said, I'm going to be a realtor. I'm like, yeah, right. So funny. I mean, I'll give you, there's a whole backstory to the backstory to the backstory, of course, because I'm 64 years old. But how I got into real estate is I was the first online dating service. And in 2000, I was selling the company. We were 2 months away from closing. I was going to be very rich, and I would not be in real estate. And if you're too young to remember, you were like 15 years old. But when the internet bubble burst in 2000, I lost $82 million.
Wow.
Went from being really, really rich to really, really poor really, really quick. And didn't have any money left to start a new company. I still had to wait another year. I was still running the company. It didn't go out of business. It just we lost our deal set on the company. And so when I finished everything, I had $14,000 left to my name. I don't have any money to start a business, and everybody was telling me, my best friend's like, Mitch, get your real estate license. I'm like, I don't like realtors. Why would I do that? He's like, you'd be so good at it. I go, I'm good at everything, but I don't want to do that. And so anyways, talked to my girlfriend, now my wife. I'm like, look, I don't think I have a choice, but this is only $1,500 to get in, and I know I'll kill it, so I'll just do that. And I figured it'd be a temporary thing while I decide what I'm going to do for my next venture.
So that's the beginning.
Yeah, that's how I get into real estate. I started out with not knowing one person here where I live, except my girlfriend, who's now my wife. Because I moved from Boston to Florida in 1999, but I was traveling 25 days a month with my online dating service. Then so I got into real estate, and the broker told me, look, just so you know, I don't do any training at all. You got to figure it out yourself.
Great.
So I started September 10th, 2001. The next day was 9/11. And then the next 3 days, I said, what is my weakness going to be? Well, I'm ADD. So I said, I'm going to need to write contracts, some fake contracts, so I know how to write a contract. That's going to be my biggest flaw. So I wrote 10 fake contracts on Wednesday, 10 on Thursday, 10 on Friday. And Saturday, I did what everybody told me not to do. I went and did an open house. and no idea what I was doing. In fact, I'm driving there laughing on the way, going, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. I go, but, I've seen realtors. I've had 7 bad realtors, and I've seen realtors on TV. I can figure it out. Like, I'll just be funny and have fun. So anyways, sold my first house that day. 5 days in the business. That was in September. By January 2002, I had 9 closings. I just thought selling houses was the easiest thing I've ever done besides paintball, which was definitely more fun. And I sold 36 homes my first year, 50 my second year, 80 my third, 80 my fourth, started my team, and then started my brokerage. And ran my brokerage up through for 13 years through 2017. And then actually in May's my anniversary, I moved my brokerage. I was the first broker to move over to EXP Realty. And now I run an organization with 2,100 agents, I have a title company that I do joint ventures with high producing agents. So if you're a high producing agent out there and you want to have your own title company, let me know. We can have a conversation. I have a property management company, and of course, I have my coaching business, which is my most fun business. I love coaching.
Coaching's fun. I mean, I was an EXP agent a few years
Hey, we're
back when
okay.
there was only 16,000 people in EXP 5 years ago.
Well, and that was the time where everything broke.
I
So
mean,
in
I
real,
got really mad because I introduced a lot of people to the company, and then it never got honored in a way. They put different names down and everything. And I'm like, I've been pitching you for 4 months. Then I did the presentation, and then you put somebody else's name down. I just got mad at that and just left. I said, okay, this is not my cup of tea,
right, right.
and that's the reason why I left EXP. I liked the model and everything, the online service, everything breakdown was okay, but I didn't like
Well,
that part.
it's for those who want it to be, it's life changing.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, can I be, I gave up a brokerage. I gave up almost $4 million to do this, and I'm so glad I did.
I'm
It was
sure. I mean, it's so much more freedom for you because you don't have to manage the people.
no, it's just you plug people in. I brought on two people this week. Last week, rather, I have two more joining this week.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I don't recruit ever.
No, they
Like
just
I don't,
follow find you.
I have yet to pick up the phone in almost 8 years. I've yet to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, join EXP." The people like myself who actually do really well, it's called attraction.
Yeah,
And you attract by helping other people grow their businesses. And that's what I do. I help people grow their business however they want to. And some people want to be rock stars selling, way up here like I was. And some people want to sell 5 homes a year. I mean, and depending on, what you do, this is where I do my coaching. You know, it's easy. This is an easy business. The problem is nobody runs a business. They
yeah,
run, as I said before we got on the call, they own a crappy job, right? And that's really what I've been teaching people. It took me till I was 60. I'm 64. It took me till I was 60 to realize that even though I owned 23 companies before, I own four right now. I didn't own any of those. They weren't all business. They weren't businesses. They were crappy jobs. But I own them. Yay! But
yeah.
I had no life. So real estate, when I got in, it's like, well, let me just show this at you real quick. There's one thing that's the same with every single business in the world. You capture leads, nurture leads, close a lead, create a customer, and then create a customer for life. That's every business in the world, every product in the world. And once you understand that mindset, now you say, all right, well, that means I have to generate leads, right? Now, and I'm nothing against teams out there. I'm not a fan of teams. And I remember I had all that. I had a team, had a brokerage. Um, most people in our business would gravitate to someone giving them leads instead of generating their own leads. But the reality is, everybody has more business sitting here than they'll ever need in their life, yet they'll never work it. And so, one of the things I teach is how do you do that? Do you have an iPhone by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Open it up for a second. I'm going to give you something for your listeners. Open your iPhone for a second, and then go to your contacts.
You want to know how many contacts I have in my phone?
How many contacts you have?
6,500 something.
6,000.
6,342.
So you have sitting in your phone 455 sales this year, but you'll never get them because you don't know how to work it.
Well, a lot of them are
That's not
international for
that's
me,
not
but yeah, I get it.
either way. But there's those are referral fees. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. There's those are 6,000 contacts, 6,500 contacts that you. And I'm not saying you. It's everybody. Like literally everybody I talk to. I coach. I teach thousands of agents every year. Not one person had looked at their phone in all their contacts. So one of the things I teach, I'll give you an example. I taught a girl. She only had 400 contacts. They gave her email address when we went through the system. And in her first 4 months in the business, she got 6 listings and 4 buyers.
Nice.
Because there's only one reason why anybody's going to use you as a realtor. It's because you happen to be in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. That's
True.
it. Now, everybody, when I asked that question in front of, I just talked about a 1,000 person a couple months ago. Audience, like, why do people use you as realtor? We're in the relationship business. Everybody's like, they're saying it wrong. They trust me. They love me. Well, everybody knows 20 realtors. We're like cockroaches. We're everywhere. We were just talking about that, right? Like when
Yeah.
you get pulled over in Florida, you get your driver's license and your real estate license. It's so what sets you apart? How can someone like myself, with not knowing one person in Florida, sell 36 homes that year to people that were local? Every single of those people live locally, yet there were 3,000 realtors here locally. And here's this new guy comes and sells 36 homes, which is the top 1% right away, right?
Yeah.
and I knew nobody. I had no contact list, right? Well, we didn't have phones like this back when I started in 2001. So my point is, and what I teach is, where's your time going? How do you maximize your time, right? And then how do you become efficient? How do you create freedom and not chase money? My slogan in my book, it's called The Big Lie: Stop chasing money, start chasing freedom. Because I chased money my entire life, and it's wrong. It's not how you live life. It's how you become a slave to your business. You don't own a business, you own a crappy job. It's
Yep.
a lot of words I just said.
And let's get to the next question. Was there any pivotal moment when you realized the traditional real estate hustle wasn't the lifestyle you wanted, and you wanted to get into the coaching and the freedom kind of style? What was that?
Well, I've been that my whole life. I mean, I've been coaching salespeople since I was in my 20s. So for me, there's a few things that I did that nobody did. Like I was the first guy doing forced registration on a website. Sounds so trivial now, but nobody was doing it when I did it.
Yeah.
I was the first person teaching lead conversion for the internet, right? And all
But you,
your CRMs today are based on the stuff that I developed 20 years ago, right? Everything. I was the first person doing ISAs, inside sales agents, for lead conversion back in 2006, when nobody even knew what an ISA was, right? And so I love helping people. That's why. And so every time I learned something, I just went out there and said, how can I help people? How can I? I'm a big believer in Zig Ziglar: help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And I live by that. I have my friend Morgan from Real Estate Webmasters, right? Morgan Kerry owns Real Estate Webmasters, and we had dinner last January. And he goes, and he's one of the biggest real estate website companies in the world, right? He goes, you should be the richest guy in real estate. I'm like, why is that? He goes, because everything we do is based on what you taught us. You know what your problem is? And I won't use the exact word he said because we're on live. He said, you're too effing nice.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you lose $82 million, money does not become your focus anymore.
No.
Yeah. So that's why. So so it's just a natural thing for me to help people grow. So as I invented all this internet stuff, and my open house program is better than anybody else's out there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I did. I mean, that's how I sold all my homes. My first year, 36 homes, 28 were from open houses. Um, when I learn stuff, I teach. And that was why the XP model was such a blessing for me, because it gave me way more people to help. I do 25 calls a week, and all of them are helping people grow their business.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing.
And I love it. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's very rewarding.
Next question is you've been open about helping agents, we talked about right now, and avoiding burnout. Uh what were some personal roadblocks or hard lessons you had to face before you found your stride?
Well, I didn't find it. I didn't really have any obstacles selling houses at all. That was, like I said, I don't understand the big deals. It's capture leads, nurture leads, close, create a
No, I'm,
sale.
I'm
That's
talking
my
about more
customer.
about the freedom, as we talked about it, because you like create a job
So
for yourself,
yes,
so
so yeah, when I stopped selling 3 years ago, and then I took a step back and looked, actually 4 years ago now. I took a step back and I looked at the business model that we do. And it's the same time I was getting through this whole mentality of working all these hours, because I had just turned 60, and I was still working 60 plus hours a week at this point. I read a book called Die with Zero, which probably anybody, I wish I read it when I was your age, because it changed my life dramatically. It's all about understanding freedom.
Mhm.
And so I live by that. So the next day after I read that book, finished the book, I cut down to 30 hours a week. I said, no
Wow,
longer will I be a slave to my business. And my business works for me. Like I said, I run 4 companies right now, and I work 30 hours a week.
it's perfect.
And so what happened is mine was a reflection. And now I know if you're watching this video right now, this podcast right now, and you're working 60, 78 hours a week running your real estate business, you're not running a real estate business. You're running a crappy job. I know I've said that several times, but nobody's understanding leverage, right? So I'll give you an example of that. Let me give you your typical realtor, right? They want control, right? I got to control everything, right? So there's a great book called E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Again, another book everybody should read. It changed my life in 1999. And so your typical realtors out there working 70, 80, 100 hours a week. and they're doing 60, 70, 80 transactions. And they're, look at me. It's all ego based. Our business is so ego based. It's ridiculous,
Yes.
right? Look at me. Look at me. Look at social media. I sold 47 homes this week. Like, how many heart surgeons say, I did 14 catheters this week or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind. But anyways, and it's all transactional. So I built out a new model in my book called the Modern Team. And what I've been doing for the last probably 10 years is I haven't except for recently, I just showed a house because I wanted to try because I haven't done it in years. I haven't shown houses. Now, up until I stopped selling in 2021, I was still averaging 25, 30 homes a year. I didn't work more than 100 hours a year to do that. 100 hours a year.
A year? You kidding me?
Year.
That's like I could tell you how much hours I work. You'd be like
No.
shocked, you know.
Well,
But yeah,
no, I
that's
wouldn't
like
because
a
I
couple
did. I
weeks for
was
me.
that guy.
That's a
I only
couple
know
weeks
that
for me.
because I was that guy. When I was selling 80 homes a year, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right. So what I've been doing the last several years, last 10 years, is I pay agents hourly to go show property. And then I give them a bonus if I write a contract on that stuff. So my team used to be me and 6 agents and an assistant. Now my team, not now because I stopped, but my team was me, an assistant, an ISA, an inside sales agent, and a transaction coordinator. And then I contracted the agents as I needed them. And
So
here's just one more thing on that. So your typical deal, like if you're my team, right, I'm going to give you 50%,
yeah.
right? I'm going to work the leads on my end. I'm going to give you 50%. You're going to go show property. I'm going to have to write the offer or negotiate that because you're new. You don't know what you're doing, right? Um, and then I'm going to give you 50% on a $400,000 sale. I'm giving you $10,000. We're talking about 5, 6, or 7 hours of your work, and I give you $1,000 an hour from being a chronic entrepreneur business person in 27 countries and companies over the last 45 years. That's the stupidest business model in the world. I'm going to pay you $1,000 an hour to open doors.
I am really interested in your model because I read Gally Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. That was the first book I read when I got into real estate. And then he talks about the team model, etc. But he doesn't really break it down to how you do your split next.
Right.
Yeah, that. And then I listened to what's his name? Diana Kokoska's son. He talks about, before you hire a buyer's agent or or a listing agent, you have to get an inside sales agent and grow them to the point where they become a buyer's agent. Buyer's agent is a privilege. It's not, hey, you got your license, you could be a buyer's agent. No, no, no. It's a privilege. You got to work your way up, learn how to get leads, learn how to talk to the leads, and show that you could do it before you could go and talk to someone on the street and bring them to a house because you don't know what you're doing, as you said a lot of times. So I'm guessing that your model is somewhat similar to that. You get your inside sales agent, then you build upon that. How many leads coming in? Okay, we have plenty of leads. We could get another agent. But instead of doing like the 50-50 split, because that's what I did. And I totally failed at it, man. I'm telling you.
Does.
Because everybody I hired, they got their egos blew up and they're like, oh, I'm just a dollar sign for you. I said, dude, man, you made $42,000 in 5 months. You make 70 right now on your full-time job working 8 hours a day. You worked about, I don't know, maybe 40 hours total and you made $42,000. Don't, you're taking this the wrong way. Are you beating the phones like I asked you? No,
Right.
So
that's the problem.
tell me.
What happens is, and then they leave you.
Yeah, they
Like,
leave me because they're like,
successful.
oh, I can do this on my own. I can buy my own leads. I can, brand my own self, and all that stuff.
So the typical, I mean, I talk to team leaders with what I do with the EXP pretty much daily. And brokers, by the way, brokers are just as bad. Brokers aren't making any money either. And I will tell you, there's a couple of offshoots that do make a few bucks. Very, very few brokers and team leaders make money. I'm helping a team right now convert to my modern team. They lose 50 grand a month.
Wow.
Now the team leader makes about $1 million a year. She's giving half of that back because in losses. So she's only making $500,000. Yeah. And I see that, I mean, every day. And I feel for these people because I made that mistake. I did that. And so that's the challenge of all this is how do you build a business? And by the way, I can do my business from anywhere in the world. Because even today, I wouldn't even do listing appointments today. If I was running this today, I wouldn't even do listing appointments. I'd hire someone, train them really, really well to be a listing agent, and I'd pay them $250 to go on an appointment and give them 10% if they when the house
nailed it. Yeah, they signed up the listing. That's great. I mean, but how do you my thing is, how do you get another agent that, as we talked about, ego, to do that for you? Like, okay, I'll pay you 250. You go on a listing appointment, and I give you 10% of the listing, and then don't they leave? Like, because that's the
Yeah,
thing. Like,
eventually. But
eventually,
I'm not looking at them. They're not part of my team.
yeah,
So for instance, so it's easier because of the buyer brokerage. You kind of have to do it within your brokerage now,
yeah,
right? Because it's I can sign the buyer brokerage and I can have agents show the property for me. So to me, it doesn't matter. I have this 400 EXP agents here in Brevard County where I'm at.
yeah,
So I just put out an email to my friends. I have like 100 that I help, right? 140 actually, that are part of my group. And so I'll put an email out, and every single time I get 10 to 15 people raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I'll show property, $25 an hour
yeah.
every time."
Of course,
It's
because
like
there's people
it's
that are
never an
not
issue.
making any money. Yeah,
So yeah, and I have one agent that I that wants my coaching. So they're like, "Well, that's not really fair to the new agents." I go, "They're going to go out of business, right? I'm saving them." And if I have, we're actually getting ready to build out with another friend of mine a lead conversion system doing the exact same model. We're doing it. We're going to do 20 different teams around the country. And
nice.
same thing. We're hiring ISAs. We're generating leads, and when the leads are ready, we're going to hire agents to go out to it. But the difference is, instead of giving you that as a team leader, right, instead of giving you that $1,000 an hour, you still make like $250 an hour. Some, on that typical $400,000 sale, you're still making $1,200,
Yeah,
right? It's just that I'm making $3,800 more than I would have. So instead of making 5,000, I'm making 8,800. Because remember, out of my $5,000 as a team leader, I got to pay the ISA, I got to pay the transaction coordinator, I got to pay all these people, the marketing and all that stuff. So my 5,000 makes me $500
correct.
as your typical team model.
That's what happened to me. With the guy I told you about, he made 43. I spent 43 for him to make 43 because I was insanely spending a lot of money on Zillow and Realtor.com at that
And
point. So I was like,
you and the rest of the world, everybody.
dude, man, I just spent, and you calling me that I'm money hungry. I just spent as much money as you made just so you could make that money.
Yeah, it's the sad part, and this is no offense to anybody out there, but
Yeah.
I've been in 18 different industries with my companies over the years. This is the most disloyal industry in every aspect. The customers are not loyal to you. The agents are not loyal to you. Nobody's loyal. And I have some agents that have been with me for 25 years, 24 years, so I can't say that completely, but the reality is the majority, 98.6374225% are not loyal.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them, by the way, because they're always people don't leave your brokerage because of they might leave because of you, or your team is, but because they think they're going to do better for their family. I have no problem when people leave. And people come and go in real estate all the time. I totally fine with that. People leave me. I'm like, I hope you do. I hope you do amazing things. And if you ever need me, I'm here. Right. And what I've learned is, like, I left my brokerage, original brokerage, to stop my own brokerage
Mhm.
because that was what was best for my family. You left whatever brokerage you were with before EXP, before who you with now,
Yeah.
because it was best for your family. I mean, that's why we do everything, right? Because it's best for our family. So I don't begrudge anybody, but it is the most disloyal business in the world. Like, I just had a girl leave who I literally spent 200 hours helping her get to $5 million a year over the last few years. And she didn't even call, just send me a text. Hey, Mitch, love you, greatest mentor you ever had. I'll see you.
What?
I don't take it personally at all. I don't at
Not
all.
anymore. I mean, you've
I
been
don't.
through the ringers.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
trust me. When I first had my brokerage and people left me, I was like, "You little son of a,"
oh my God, it's so annoying.
no, because in the end, I know what I have to offer, and because someone's blowing some smoke up your butt that you're going to get all this more stuff over here, I I can't. I'm not going to fight that to fix it. Not at the stage of my life. I bring in people who are attracted to me physically because I'm so sexy looking. No, they're attracted to me because I can help their business, and if they don't feel that, then don't join me.
Correct,
Huh?
correct.
It's
So,
simple.
what mistakes do you see agents making in that keep them stuck in the survival mode?
Sure. One, they don't. One of the first things I do when I bring on a new coaching student is we got to figure out your time. Right. So I make every agent check every minute of every day for 7 days, because the biggest mistake is, if you sold more than 5 homes and you're still doing transaction coordination, that's a huge mistake. You should never be doing, what are we at now, $15, $20 an hour jobs. You should never be doing that. That's how much do you make per hour? Like when I was like, my minimum was, I'm not making at least $250 an hour. I'm not doing it. So why would back then do an $8, $10 an hour job?
Yeah.
Right? That's not a business. So if you've done a few transactions, you immediately should have a transaction coordinator forever. You should never ever, and like, well, they cost $350. So, right? How much time does that free you up? I had so many agents that got frozen because they were having a difficult transaction that the transaction coordinator could handle. So that's number one. Number two is mindset. Um, if you're stuck, the challenge with our business is it costs you $1,500 to be a realtor, $500 for your class, roughly $1,000 to join the board, right? You have to have the mindset that you've invested $250,000 to start your business. Because I ask this to everybody, what would you do differently if you spent $250,000 to start a real estate business? It's everything.
Oh yeah.
Everything. You do everything different, right? And then the other part, the biggest one, is most people don't start with the mindset of a business from the beginning. So when I started, because I was broke, where I lost all my money. So when I started, excuse me, I took I'll just use $10,000. Actually, doesn't matter. I took 30% of my check and then went into an account for my taxes. I took 30% of my check and it went into a marketing fund, and I got paid with the other 40%. And I built up a huge marketing fund so I could do my internet marketing, so I could do my branding, so I could be bigger than life than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And so again, everybody's transactional. So instead of thinking you're running like a business, oh, I got to get this next deal, I got to get this next deal, and then the final thing is standards. I can't tell you how many agents I've brought in, like, how many homes you want to sell this year? Well, if I sold 12, I'd be happy. Okay, right? I have people say, well, if I sold 3 or 4 this year, I'd be happy. I'm like, well, if I sold 3 or 4, I'd be bankrupt. You stand is so I said to myself when I got my real estate license, as long as I make $250,000 a year, which by the way, in 2001 and two, the average sale was $150,000 here, so it wasn't like it is today where it's 400,000. I said, as long as I make 250 a year, I'll be happy. And what did I make by my second year? 250.
250. Yeah.
Now, what if I said 500? What if I said a million? I would have made that. But people come in with such low standards of what they're going to do is because they don't know. Because the challenge is most of your team leaders are not business people. Most of your brokers are not business people, right? They're teachers, they're carpenters, they're bartenders, or whatever they were before they got their license, and were never taught properly how to run a business. Because again, the people they followed were not business people. But I'll give you an example. My first broker, where I love Daily Sweetheart, she's still to this day, I think she's 68, 69, maybe even 70. And she runs a brokerage with about 15 agents. And she told me recently that she has to work 6 or 7 months of the year selling houses full time to pay for the bills because only 3 of her agents actually sell houses.
Wow.
That's your typical model. 25, 30% of your brokerage or team actually sells.
That's what I mean. The 80-20 rule, like 20% of the agents do 80% of the business. I think that's even lower probably than 20%, but yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I'm getting my son has broken into my office.
I hate when that happens. All good. We're kid friendly here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't lock it from the inside. Mommy ran and grabbed him.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's when the door's opening, but you don't see anybody in the door. It's like, oh, that's the little one.
You see a little top of my head, right?
Oh, I mean, he's 1.5, so it's like,
oh, he's one.
you don't
Yeah,
even see the top of the head because there's a monitor, between.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So let's get back to this. How did you shift from being overwhelmed to being, intentional with your business model? How do you get people?
Yeah, a leverage. I just hire people to do things I don't want to do. I hire people that don't. And by the way, you don't have to hire full-time people. You can hire people that are part-time. You could share like I have 4 agents that share one assistant, right? You don't
Yeah,
need to be doing this by yourself. But if you're not, you should be spending 80% of your time doing revenue generating activities. And if you're spending most of your time, which is most realtors, doing administrative work, you're missing the boat. And so the way you're not overwhelmed is by running a business. Like I said, I was running brokerage in my big EXP group. and a marketing company, and selling 30 homes a year, and not killing myself. Right now, I stopped selling because I just don't enjoy it that much anymore. Um, but I almost this year, I almost was going to sell 80 homes this year, just to show people that I haven't sold houses full time in 20 years now. Last time I sold was 2005 full time, right? And I bet you I could work 30 hours a week and sell 80 homes. I know I can. Because first thing I would do is start reaching my contacts.
I have to find how you hire these inside sales agents, because I've been pondering on it for about a year and a half now, because I know that that's the model I want to go down with. That's the road I want to go down. But every time I look at a guy or I talk to another agent, that like, hey, could that be an inside sales agent? Because they have to be licensed, no?
They
Like a
don't have to
benefit.
be, but I won't hire anybody. Me personally, we had 3 to 4 ISAs at all times in my brokerage. I would not have an unlicensed one, because I think the reason why we so just from a numbers perspective, the typical conversion rate of a registration lead is less than 1%. It's 0.75, right?
Yeah.
We had a 6% conversion rate. Realtor.com is a little over between 12 and 15%, and which the average is 3 to 5%. And the reason being, all my ISAs are always licensed. With our lead system we're setting up right now, that we're growing to 20 locations, that will be all licensed ISAs, local licensed ISAs. And I had an ISA company. I was calling for 165 brokers and teams, and we were still getting, with our ISAs unlicensed, a 3% conversion, which is still great. But to get really good, because here's the deal: think about yourself.
Yeah.
You register on a website, and some person calls you up and says, "Hey, hopefully with an English accent, right? An
Yeah.
American accent, hopefully." And
Hopefully.
yeah, and they start saying all this stuff, and when you say, "Well, what about, I looked at this property 555 Main Street," that is, you cannot have a conversation about real estate,
Nope.
right? So that ISA rather. Now, well, yeah, I can't tell you that, but let me go hook you up with Mitch. He's the realtor, and I'm just making sure you're a real person, basically. I mean, that's kind of the conversation, right?
Correct.
And the person never answers the phone again, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I call the first time, and we know if you call within, interesting numbers, by the way, if you call within 5 minutes, you'll get a hold of 21%. If you call within 24 hours, you get a hold of 20%. So the whole speed to lead thing it's really a lie. It's not true. It's a sales tool. It's a sales pitch. It's a 1%. We were calling 10,000 leads a month, so I know my numbers like
Yeah.
ridiculously. But the consumer wants information then when you call them. So now you have to go from an ISA who's not licensed, who can't talk about real estate, to wait for me to get back. Now the agent's busy, right? Out showing property, doesn't call them for 24, 48 hours. Done.
Boom,
Done.
done. Yeah, 48 is out. You have to at least 24 hours, or shoot a text and say, I'll get back to you. I'm available, something. So they're like, oh, okay, good. I know at least that you're, going to call me.
Right.
That was
Well,
my thing, because in 2022, I was so busy. I did everything myself, pretty much.
Yeah.
I managed transactions. I negotiated transactions. I had 2 team members as well, and I was doing all their transactions for them as well. One was totally green, just out of school. The guy that left me, that I told you about. And I did 48 transactions on my own. Pretty much the whole team did 48, but I did everything pretty much, except for maybe showing 3-4 houses that the guys did. But I was there with them, holding their hand, showing the houses with them to show them how it's done, because a lot of times they went out on their own. It's like, oh, it's not going to work out, not going to work out, not going to. I said, okay, let me pick up this lead. You come with me. I picked up the lead, went with me, and we closed the deal. I said, how is that possible that I pick up a random person, that came through realtor.com, and we close the deal if I'm there? But if you pick up a lead, it never ends with a closing. What are you guys doing out there?
Well, that's why I never relied on my agents to make the appointment. I always relied on my inside salespeople to really nurture that lead and make sure it got to an appointment stage.
Yeah, so that's
because
really
because
important.
the agents will drop the ball. They're going to call once. I mean, I've been doing this for so many years with so many companies I've helped. They're going to call once, maybe. I mean, when the number is 42% of leads never called, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna call once, and then they're never going to call again. And I've had, here's the attitude some agents have, that I've had. Well, if they don't call me back, they're lucky to get me as a realtor.
Yeah, the ego.
Yeah, you go back to the ego, right? It's such an ego business. And I'm talking about agents that are new. I'm like, what are you talking
What are you
about? You sold 6 homes last year. This is why.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you find these inside sales agents? Is there like a special way you market for them?
Yeah, you just look for a genie bottle on the beach and rub it and say, I
I'm
need a
pretty
good
sure
house.
that's the way.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no freaking way to
yeah.
find them because it's like,
So it's actually really simple.
yeah,
I always did mine is I got the realtor list from my county, right, which you can buy online anywhere. And
yeah.
I emailed my entire data, every one of them, saying I'm looking for an inside sales agent to make phone calls to our leads. We have too many leads, salary plus bonus. And that's, by the way, the other reason why they're licensed, because you can pay a
You give
small
them the
salary,
bonus.
pay them on transaction. And I would always get at least 10 phone calls.
Okay.
Right,
And
at
you
least 10
rotate
phone
that
calls.
every 2, 3, 4 months. You do a new blast.
If I needed it, my ISA is because I paid them well, and we had great systems in place. Some of the stuff I teach, and let's see. So Julie, who's now the ISA manager for EXP, was with me for 16 years.
Wow.
Marlena was with me for 10 years, and Tiffany was with me for 8 years. So no, I
Wow.
didn't have to go look
You
remotely
didn't have to go
because
search.
because
Yeah.
because I had a specific avatar. I wanted someone that was a mom, right? I
Because you had
wanted
an
someone that had
avatar. Okay.
Yep. I wanted someone that was a mom. I wanted someone that loved talking about real estate, but couldn't work weekends,
Yeah.
right? And who had a great phone voice. So none of these people, I didn't care what they looked like. Our interview, I mean, the final interview was in person, but the interview was on the phone. Like, so
Correct.
I wasn't gonna hire someone who said, "Hi, this is Mitch. Can I help you?" Right? I wanted someone, "Hey, this is Mitch from the Tropical Realty or Mitch Ribak Real Estate Team. How are we doing?" I wanted someone who's got voice and could talk and have fun, and that's all I told them to do. I go, "Look, real estate is a small part of the conversation. The most important conversation is lifestyle. So you guys look at the area. What type? Tell me what you do up in Boston. It's so easy. It's not difficult. They're always trying to come up with all these sales scripts and all that crap. I opened telemarketing companies as one of my companies, and the biggest thing I learned about opening telemarketing companies, which is ISAs, right, is don't use scripts, just use bullet points. Let them be themselves, right? And I know you're supposed to internalize the scripts and all that stuff. Man, it's a bunch of
It
crap.
doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean
I
it does,
have,
but
I,
it's so few that can do that.
yeah, really well. I mean,
Yeah,
anybody can. I mean, you get the Indians on the phone. Sorry to say that, but most of the time they call you and you know that they're reading the script because you're like, you try to ask a kind of twisty question and they're like, give me 1 second, please. And then they're looking it up and then they're like, like a machine, I'm like, come on,
yeah.
guys. I know you're reading a script.
Yeah, they don't like. I don't answer the phone anymore, but they never like calling me because I would sit there and give them a critique the whole time. Like, so you should try this instead of that. And are you reading from a script? Oh, well, yeah. I go, well, ditch the script. So I'll give you a quick story. That's kind of funny. So one of my gigs was a lawn care company hired me for 6 months to come in and revamp their telemarketing center. So they came in. They were doing about, I think, about 150 to $200,000 a year from their telemarketing center. So I went in there and the owner's sitting there. He just contracted me, and I charged a lot of money back then. I think it was like 1993-ish or so. Maybe no, actually it's before that. Yeah, maybe I don't remember. When you get old, you forget the dates. But anyway, so I told everybody, I go, please, everybody take out your scripts, and they all, I go, now rip them up and throw them in the middle of the floor. And the owner of the company is looking at me, and he pulled me aside. He goes, I'm not sure whether to love you or fire you. I go,
You
trust
already
me.
paid me.
And so, anyways, we took his business from $200,000 a year to $1 million a year in 6 months
Nice. That's
because I
good.
let the people be themselves. So the problem is nobody knows how. Again, they're not business people running these things. Is people. The challenge, one of the biggest challenges we have is everybody and their mother tries to pretend like they know everything. So they're going to sell you this stuff, and you're going to spend all this money on something, then you never do it again because it didn't work.
Correct.
Well, it didn't work because they were just selling you shit. By my French. Did the French say "part of my American"? Always wondered that.
It works.
But the problem is that everybody's trying to chase the shiny object. Nobody has to spend a penny on leads. Nobody has to spend a penny on anything except a really good ISA because you are not going to call your leads, and a really good transaction coordinator. And when you get in a really good assistant, because those three people can give you freedom.
Correct. I totally agree with you on that. I'm on the track of getting all those. Have none of them yet.
But we'll have a conversation after this.
Yeah, I would love to, because I do
And
want
by
to.
the way, most of the people I help,
Yeah.
I seldom charge. I mean, I get yelled at, but I have a coach. I mean, everybody should have a coach. And just people, if it's a one off or two off, I'm not going to charge them. Just help them. It's not about money to me anymore. My whole life right now is about impact. How can I take you and look at your business at 36? I think you said, right?
I'm 36. Yeah, yeah,
At 36 years old and know you're on the wrong track. And I'm not saying you specifically, but you are everybody else that I talk to. And I can take you literally within a month, I can transform your life.
yeah. Wow.
And so I can charge you $1,500 for the time it takes, which is also going to take an hour at the time, really, if you implement it. But it depends. I mean, if I like the now, I have people I charge. Don't get me wrong, I have customers I charge. They're not my favorite people in the world. So, and I don't mean that negatively. Myself, they don't have a relationship with me. They don't want to have a relationship with me, and that's fine. I mean, then you want to be business, we'll be strictly business. I'm going to get $1,500 an hour, and that's what it'll be. And when we're done, we're done. But for most people who I to get along with, and by the way, I'm charging 4 people right now out of the many that I'm helping. It's not like, yeah. Now with that said, I'm probably going to go to a paid video model at some point. MitchRibak.com is my website, and we are recording 17 videos for the modern team model, and we're recording I don't know how many videos for New Age. We're gonna have 2 platforms. They're both based on my books. I have a book called "So You Have Your Real Estate License Now What." It's made for newer agents. I just rewrote it and had it re-edited, so I'm getting ready to reprint it. So that's gonna be a video series for new agents, and then we'll have a video series for modern. And then honestly, the only way I'll do one-on-one coaching once I got that up for free is they'll have to join me at the XP. Because that's what I do. I help people. But if I'm going to help you, I want to be in business with you.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's the core philosophy behind building a real estate business that gives you freedom? Like, what did you figure out in your 60 years of real estate, or not 60 years of real estate, but 6 years of 50 years of business or something like that?
45 years of being software. It's leverage. It's leverage.
It's leverage.
I mean, it's all about leverage. It's about not being stingy. So the problem is somebody gets a check today. What's the first thing they do? I need 10 grand. They blow it in 5 minutes.
Not me. I'm a big budgeter.
but most people, right? Most people.
Yeah.
I mean, I see that. I see.
Let's get a boat. Let's get a jet ski. Let's get a something for the house. Let's get a new barbecue. Blah blah blah, etc.
So when I say they're transactional, it's not just they're transactional. They're living paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. Yeah.
Right, transaction, and that's not building a life. That's not building a financial thing. So, I mean, there's so many ways to be successful in this business. But I do tell people, if you want to make money in real estate, sell stuff to realtors.
Yeah, definitely. I've been thinking about that too, by the way, because you just told me about your coaching program that you're going to put in a video form, and I've been trying to build mine as well to teach people how to deal with buyers, how to deal with sellers, etc., etc. So if you'd like to, maybe team up on something like that, I'd be really happy to, help you out, or vice versa, maybe, because that's the thing. Like I have this idea in my head. I shouldn't talk about it on the video yet because it's not out yet, but we'll talk after this. And I want to pick your brain on it. To sell not just to realtors, but buyers and sellers as well. It's a something that they could utilize, and with current technology, I think it's possible to do as well. And I think you'll like this because it will match your 30-hour a week kind of work thing too, at the same time.
All right, cool.
So build systems, guys, and leverage. Tell us about a moment when, it all kind of clicked together, and maybe a success story of an agent you mentored who turned things around.
Yeah, sure. So, I've got less. So I'll give you one agent right now.
Your favorite one.
Yeah. This is my favorite because he's actually has leukemia and very sick right now. 28 years old.
Yeah.
Working 80 hours a week. Doing good. Sold like 30 homes, 35, I think 34 homes. A 1-year-old and 5-year-old, and I started coaching him, and 6 months later he joined me at EXP, and we met every Friday, and he went from killing himself working 70, 80 hours a week to selling more homes working a normal 40-hour week. And I love that because that's my person I'm trying to help. So the person's in their 20s and 30s with kids. Because again, I turned 60. I told you earlier, I don't remember anything I did with my kids. I can't tell you more than 5 things. And if you're a parent out there, your most important job is mom or dad. Everything else is a lie, right? Mom and dad, because when you get older, like this thing, right? When you get older, you're not going to look and say, how much money do you have? You got to go back to memories. When I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be able to tell you more than 5 things I do with my kids when they're kids. Now I'm creating memories with them now because I've learned my lesson. Um, but so he was a great example. I mean, and unfortunately he has leukemia right now, so we're doing a lot to raise money for him. And he just went into remission for the second time, and hopefully he's going to get a bone marrow transplant this month coming up. But he was almost dead last month.
Wow.
They told him to call, get his affairs in order. They didn't think he had more than a week to live, and so he's pulled through. And a super nice guy. But I have other people. I have a friend of mine who I'm coaching right now who's getting there. She has 10 children. She just adopted 2 more. She had 8. She has 10 now as of last week. And she sells 30, 40, 50 homes a year. And we've got her now down to, in her real estate business, about 25 hours a week.
That's exactly what happened to me. I went to Business Master, Tony Robbins. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, by the
Me
way.
too.
Did
Love Tony Robbins. Yep.
did his whole mastery program, did business mastery. I, for some reason, just went into business mastery first thing when I went into Tony Robbins. I didn't go UPW, then this, then that,
Oh, really?
and then build up the business. No, straight dive in head first into the big water. You know, it was deep water, and I did it in the studio with him being live there and with 500 like super wealthy people. I was like, I totally feel out of place here because everybody's been taking his programs previously. I've read his books because I was like, hey, read his book. That's what started me in real estate because I was a bartender. As you said, a lot of bartenders become realtors. I was a bartender for 14 years and I was really good with people and people loved me. And I was like, oh, well, let's do real estate because I think I capped my income in bartending. I think I did the top was 130,000 a year, which is also really good income. But I said, I don't think I'm ever going to make more than that money. And that's not what my life goal is. You know, I want to have a nice life for kids and everything, you know? So I went into real estate. Now, Tony Robbins, I did Date with Destiny with him
I
20,
did that.
2023 December. And I changed my you know how they do the what your priorities are list and then how you go into a state and you change your priorities. So mine was first thing was success, you know, and I changed from success to health and family and love. I changed myself to that. And since then, my real estate hasn't been because I did these changes prior to figuring out how to build a business out of my real estate thing. So the changes happened. I spend more time with my family, but my business is not running as it did before because I didn't have the plans of how to actually run the business as you're teaching, you know?
Right.
So I think it's really important to before you make the changes to your children, learn how to build your business so you could do less hours and spend the time with your children and still make money. Because now I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like I closed one deal this year so far. Usually I have like 5, 6, maybe even 10 under my belt at the end of first quarter. But I am spending a way more time with my family, you know, which is
so
awesome.
you might go broke doing it, but at least you're spending time with your family.
Yeah. I made plenty of money in the last few years, so I don't, you know, don't think I'm in a bad place in my life. But I'm just like now realizing that I have to start focusing on how to build the business to not have to spend that much time on working in the business rather than working on the business outside, you know, little Robert Kiyosaki mixed into the Tony Robbins there. But yeah, I read a lot of books too.
It was funny because when I went to Tony Robbins, my value system was business, family, me.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking.
You should put me first.
No, family first.
Family first, and then me.
Yeah. So if here's and I just had a meeting with Jarek Robbins, Tony's son.
Yeah.
A few months ago, and we were having this conversation. He goes, "What was your value system?" I go, he goes, "Let me tell you, it was business, family, you." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Not sustainable." He goes, "It's family, you, and then business." He said, "The reason why it's family first because if family does not buy into everything you're doing, it falls apart."
Yeah.
He goes, "If you are not healthy and sustainable yourself personally and physically, it doesn't work. Your business will follow." And when I made that shift, because I didn't make that shift with Days, I didn't make that shift till I talked to Jarek.
Wow.
Yeah, so a few months ago. And when I made that shift, everything changed.
Yeah.
Like I was still only working 30 hours a week, but I was being so what I've mastered now, I mastered this a while ago was time blocking. So I tell people I work 60 hours a week, but I do it in 30 hours.
Wow.
right? And so that's some of the stuff I teach is how do you take your life and get organized and leverage and outsource so you're being a mom or a dad. Because again, I'll preach until people start listening. Your most important job is mom and dad. That's it. And if you
Yeah.
have no kids, it's sister, brother, son, daughter, right?
Family.
Your family is the most important thing you have in your life because when push comes to shove, everybody in your life is going to desert you except your family.
Correct.
And I've been there. Like when I was rich, right? I got everybody loved me. Oh my, there's Mitch. Oh my, I love Mitch. Oh my God, Mitch. You know, oh yeah, Mitch, you pay for it. Okay, Mitch, you pay for it. Okay. Like, I was buying everything for everybody. As soon as I got broke, they all disappeared.
They
Except
always
my
do.
family. Except my
They
family.
always do. Yeah, yeah. Except for family because they stick around.
And that's why I
I,
know my wife loves me because we were not married. And I was really, really rich when we met, and I was really, really poor 2 years later. And here we are 25 years still together
that's
and
great.
married.
We were really really poor when we met, and then we built everything together. So that also sticks, together. I think. I mean, just a little bit more backstory. I grew up in Budapest, Hungary, and working 3 jobs, making $500 a month. I was like, God, this is like the rat race. Just you can't really get out of it ever because you can't ever make more money to get out of it. I was selling insurance, I was bartending, and I was running my dad's business. So I was doing a lot of things. Dad passed away. And then I was like one moment to another, it struck. It's like, hey, let's go on a cruise ship and work on a cruise ship, save up some money, maybe buy a property, et cetera, et cetera. So I went on a cruise ship, met my wife, never went home to buy a property, stayed in the States. I'm American, by the way. Mom's American. I told you from Boston, but we always had the opportunity to come over, but had to never really took the chance to do it. So after that, I had 10 grand in my pocket, moved to Miami, started bartending, and that's basically the background story. We worked on a cruise ship 7 days a week, 80, 90 hours a week at least with my wife. So I know that we're both hustlers in that matter. It's like no stopping us because we both hustle to get where we are. And then built it up slowly in Miami. Lived in a cockroach infested apartment first year, and then get the better
I do what you
apartment,
got
and
to
the
do.
better apartment, and the better apartment, and just kept on building since then. And we're in a pretty good place right now. But now I know that I never went to school for business or anything like that. I'm learning everything from books that I read about business. And I'm like, I know that I have to leverage, but I couldn't figure out the system of how to leverage, how to find the people, how to do the, proper hiring for those positions that need to be, I need to take the hat off and give it to someone else. Like, hey, you got to be my,
And
this
you
and
should
that.
never be afraid to ask people who are already doing what you want to do. I think that's part of the fear. I think like people like myself, I will help anybody. Like I'll give anybody an hour of my life. Anybody. Don't care who you are. Not going to say, hey, join EXP. I don't do that crap. Right. I'll give anybody an hour. And I know within an hour, I can change people's lives. Now, the reality is 99% of them will not do the work. And I know that because I did in 2023, I did 250 free coaching calls and not one of them did the work. Not one. Not one. And so at the end of 2023, I started questioning myself. I'm like, wow,
Am
do
I
I
doing
just
something
suck at
wrong?
this? Well, it wasn't me. And then then I look back at my life and I've trained thousands of agents. I get emails and texts all the time from people saying, Mitch, you changed my life. Thank you so much. Right. And so I know I impact. And what I realized is it's kind of why I stopped training new agents. So in 2024, I took a step back, wrote my book. Um, didn't even really bring on, I brought on like, I think 6 agents to EXP. I've already brought on 6, 8 this year so far. Because people I'm out there more now. I just kind of took a step back. Started a property management company, started a title company, just started more companies, which is what I'm good at. And I realized that I was training the wrong people. I'm now really like I'm not coaching brand new agents. I mean, I'll give you 1 hour, but I will not coach a brand new agent. I will give them the foundation to start their business, but I'm not doing more than that. And they have to blow me away on the phone call. Like I have to hear energy in their voice, and or I'm not going to do it. I say no a lot more than I say yes now. I look for people like yourself personally. That's what I look for is people like yourself that are trying to figure out how do I get to freedom? Because it's not about chasing money. If you live your life chasing money, there's never an end. When I made my first million at 23 years old, right? My next thought is how do I get to two?
Yeah.
Then it was how do I get to four?
That's where I
Then
am
it's how
right
do I get
now.
to 10? And I remember when I was with like 20 or $30 million, like, wow, how do I get to 80? And then I got there,
Yeah.
right? And then I lost it all. But my point is it doesn't stop. So what I teach, stop chasing money, chase freedom. What is that number that you can live an amazing life and leverage so you can work 20, 30, 40 hours a week and be a dad or a mom,
Correct.
right? And live a great life. And there's lots of ways that you're doing it with owning properties right now. That's part of the way to do it. I
I
do it
have that
via,
number. I have
yeah,
that number. I know what that number is in my head. I did it through Money Master the Game. So I have my numbers written down.
yeah.
I'm coachable in that matter too, because I love to listen to people that are better than me and have done better in life, because I know that I'm gaining every single
The
conversation.
problem is when you know the number. So what I did, right?
Yeah.
When you know the number, like I always knew the number,
Yeah.
right? My number from day one was if I make 200, if I can put $4 million in the bank, I can make
That's
200
exactly,
grand a
that's
year.
pretty much my number too. Somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
And yet when I made 4 million, what did I do? I went for 8, I went for 10, I went for 20, I went for 30. So you think that's your number until you hit your number. And what we need to do is hit your number and then be very, very picky about what you do from there. Like
Ah, got you.
if you need 20 grand a month to live, like with the XP, when I hit 20 grand a month, I was like, that's kind of my number, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I realized my number is 50 grand a month, which now it's a little higher than that. But I knew at 50 grand a month, I live a really, really good life.
Correct. Okay. I mean,
It's
you can't really spend, spending 50 grand a month is insane amount of money. Like that's a lot of money to spend a month.
Yeah. Oh
I've
no,
spent 50 grand a month. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I've been there, done that. I've been that stupid, but not
yeah.
stupid, but it was, I've always put almost every penny that we put a big bunch of it aside, invest it. And then a big portion of it goes back into the business, you know, and then we take out
Yeah, I
some
just said
for
that.
ourselves to live off, like to pay the mortgage, food, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. And
Well,
that's
you're
always the
disciplined.
minimum.
That's so not normal for realtors.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're disciplined. No, and I did time because what I learned, my property management company, I don't run that.
yeah.
I funded it and I drive business to it, which is fun to me. My title company, I don't run that.
Yeah.
My EXP stuff, I don't run that. My coaching business, I don't run the background. I just do so I truly have businesses now, 4 businesses where nobody knows if I'm working or not. Like nobody knows where I am today. Not even my general manager. She has no clue what I'm doing today. Right? I could
Yeah.
be playing golf right now if I want to be. And that's truly running a business that works for me, not me working for the business. And that's the difference. And that's what I enjoy. So when I made this aha moment, we talked about aha moments earlier. When I took that 250 people and realized took this past 2024 off I realized that I spent 20 years chasing the wrong agents to help them. And so now like I'm only looking for people that are selling 30 plus homes a year. Now you can be doing less, but if you're working 60 hours a week or more, then we need a conversation. Or if you're trying to really truly get to freedom, which is 20 or 30 hours a week.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's not about the money you're going to make. Let's say, okay, sell 40 homes or 50 homes at $500,000 average. You're still selling, making $500,000, but you're doing 60 hours a week of work or more. Now, let's say you're going to make 300,000 or 250,000 a year. You spend 250, but now you have 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week of work. It's worth it. It's worth it
Right.
at the end of the day, because
using my modern team model, you don't have to do that. You don't
yeah.
spend that much money. You make a lot more money.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing is, if you really look at what you net, because what you net is different than what you make, right?
Yeah.
What you generate. And you can take people and get them down to 25, 30 hours a week, show them how to sell way more homes by using their phone, using some other stuff, and other techniques that I used to teach people how to generate leads. And then really systemize it. Like I'll give you an example. An ISA is 25 base, 25 grand base, and assistance 35 grand base. TC is transactional, right? So you sell 50 homes at $350. What's that? 15 grand. So you're not spending 250,000. You're spending maybe 100 grand right, but you're going to make that up in more sales.
Correct.
Because your time now is spent generating business, not generating admin jobs that you're doing.
Correct.
And I've talked to agents that are selling 80 homes a year, still putting their own listings in. I mean, just what are you doing?
I do that. Thank you.
Well, nobody can do it like me. I'm like, oh, okay.
No, anybody can do it like you. It's a monkey job. It's
That's right.
it's sort of like a
Exactly.
monkey job,
It
like
is a monkey job.
it's trainable. anything trainable, as a factory, you could plug in numbers, you could do all that stuff. You
And
could
then if you
have
get lucky, like I'm blessed that Pat, my general manager, has been. We just celebrated 20 years this year, this
nice.
month. March 10th was 20 years,
Got some great hires
and
there in the early times.
20 years ago, yeah. And
I didn't
and I,
convince
you
a
know, I
millennial
gave
to
her a
do
piece.
that.
I gave her a piece of my company. She makes way more, 3 to 4 times more than any other assistant, right?
Yeah,
And I made sure she's taking care of the rest of her life
nice.
because I could be here without her, but it wouldn't have been as fun.
Yeah. So for someone listening who's at the edge of burnout, what's the first small shift they can make today that would help them?
Well, it's like AA, just admit it. Seriously, admit it. Say, I need help, right? And so we're very proud people, right? So we don't want to say we need help. Remember, it's ego based. I don't need help. Look at me, right? Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm gonna have a heart attack next week. And but so the first thing is admitting it. Look in the mirror. Here's something that if you're watching this right now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do this today too, because this is really, really cool. I want you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, one, am I really happy? Do I really love what I'm doing? Is this going to kill me? Right? Because I don't care. A friend of mine's grandmother died the other day, 92 years old. The funeral home director told him, he goes, we're not seeing that anymore. He goes, everybody we see dying right now is in their 40s and 50s.
Wow.
Right? The food we eat
Yeah.
and the lifestyles we live, the stress lifestyle we live. Right? That's why I don't have stress. My dad died of stress at 58 years old. Um, so if you're sitting there and you look in the mirror and you have an honest conversation, get away the ego. When I talk to brokers, especially, I'm like, look, we're not even going to have a conversation until you get rid of your ego. And when you get rid of your ego, you can be honest with yourself and be honest with yourself. Tell the truth. And if you want to run that by me, whoever you are out there, you want to run by that, I'm not going to try to sell you crap. I don't care. I
Yeah.
really don't. But my goal in life, and I think I might have said this earlier, is impact. I've got a limited amount of time left in my life. 64 years old. There's only so many more years. And how many people can I impact now between now and when I die? And that's my goal.
That's awesome, man. I have a few more questions if you're up for it.
Yeah, I'm good. My next appointment's not till 3 o'clock. I'm good. This is gonna be a long podcast. I hope people stay on.
I have one other long one, and that has a pretty good amount of views. So
Okay.
this is a good podcast. I think this is something that people can learn a lot from, agents or even regular people too, or just regular business owners. It doesn't have to be real estate. This is good for everybody.
I'm writing a new book right now called The Big Life for Entrepreneurs, because I do a lot of small business coaching. I love it. Honestly, it's way more fun than realtor coaching. And the reason
Well,
why it's more fun because they've invested 50, 100, $200,000. Their whole life savings went into starting their business, right? Where realtors
yeah,
spend $1,500. Yeah.
that's the truth. Yeah. I mean, we talked about in the beginning of the pod that I run multiple businesses too. So this is not the only gig that's going on. How does technology play a role in creating freedom? A freedom-based business today.
So a couple of things. So a lot of people are being sold a bill of goods. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, just that's how I believe about using your CRM properly. And the problem with CRMs, if you are a big lead generator, and I saw this when I was generating leads for my agents back when I had my brokerage, once you get past 300 leads in your database, it becomes almost obsolete. You won't use it. It's overwhelming. So what I tell people is do your email campaigns through MailChimp or Constant Contact. And when someone raises their hand, then you put them into a CRM, right? Because if you're having all these people in your CRM and you open it up and you go, oh my God, like 37 reminders you're supposed to do, oh my God, and you don't do anything,
Yeah.
right? And I've seen this hundreds of times now. So I've kind of changed the way that I used to be a big CRM guy. I mean, I built one of the actually probably the first lead conversion CRMs out there back in 2006. I spent $500,000 for my own system that I spent because nothing else they did what I wanted. Now they all do the same thing. But the that's probably to me one of the biggest things from a technology standpoint. Technology is not going to save your life. Now I use ChatGPT all the time, like if I'm writing emails, for writing marketing campaigns, I do a lot of live events. We do panels. All my questions come from that. I love ChatGPT. I think AI is huge for our business. Used properly. Now, what I don't use it for, not sold on it yet, is the AI telemarketers because they're out there now, and they'll do all
Centra
these.
AI.
I don't like it. I mean, I've listened to the calls. They sound fake to me, and maybe because I'm overcritical. They can't. Again, they're not going to get into real estate questions with you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the answers legally at least. Um, so I think be. I always tell people, you want to be successful, go back to basics, right? You can literally run this business with a notepad, right, and an email campaign, right? But I think you should have a CRM because you need the people that raise their hand to be organized there, and then setting up your CRM in a good drip campaign, listing updates, all those things are very important. Um, Other than that, all the other stuff out there, I just think it's yay. I mean, it's great. But I guarantee if I went to sell houses there, I'd sell 80 homes a year without using anything except for MailChimp and CRM.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, my CRM's the same way. I have 7, 8,000 contacts in there, and I don't even try to open it. Like I open it once a month, and I'm like, I don't know if I should look at this right now because I don't have the time for this. Because it's
Yep.
like, God, follow up with, even if it's not everybody, but let's say follow up with 400, 500 leads.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to call. Just just the
Well,
sheer
that's why
thought of it is like scary.
to me, an inside sales agent, ISA, is the most important hire for everybody.
Yeah, I agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah,
Um,
most important.
what's one habit that you've adopted that had the biggest ROI in your business?
Time blocking.
Lucky luck is a good. It's a good habit.
Time blocking. I mean, no, it saved everything. Setting the standards with my customers. This is actually, I'll give you this one. This is really, really powerful. So if you don't set the rules with your customer right away, they'll set the rules for you. So here's what I do with every single customer I met. I'm talking about buyers, customers. I get in the car, and I always did it in person. First thing I said, let me explain how to run my business. By the way, you'll never hear me say how I do my job. I mean, how I run my business. I'm going to give you 150% in finding your home. I'm really, really good at it. When you say that, even if you're brand new, you just solidify to the customer you're really good at it. Right? So I'm really, really good at it, but I have a couple of rules. Firstly, I do not get paid if you do not buy a house from me. And I could now they have to sign a buy broker, so it's a little bit different, right? But I want to go over some scenarios that could happen during this time. Are you remotely interested in new construction? And these are the developments you can live in at the price range here. Because I do my homework ahead of time, right? I know the price
Yeah,
range and I know the development. If they say yes, great. I have to, for me to represent you, I have to bring you to these developments. So let's do that today. And if they did that, which is very seldom, by the way, I would take them and register because, as you know, if you don't register them, you don't get paid, right?
of course. Happened to me before.
And then I said, you're going to go to open houses because I'm not going to be with you every minute of every day. Here's a bunch of my cards. When you walk in the door, I want you to hand them my card right away and say, I'm working with Mitch. They'll leave you alone. You're going to see listing signs. The only job that listing person has is to sell you that house. I'm going to help you find the right house to go there. There goes to sell you that house. So if you see a listing sign, call me and I'll get us in because I can show you any house there is in the county. And then finally, there's for sale by owners. If you see a for sale by owner, the most lawsuits we see in this country are from property management and for sale by owners because they don't know what they're doing. So call me. Almost all of them will work with an agent. Even if they will not work with an agent, I will still help you buy that house
That is
because
a
it's not
great,
about the money.
great spiel that you or
And I did that
introduction
with
to
every
your
single
business.
buyer.
Actually,
I also said to them, I said, and back then you had me from 8 to 8. That was my hours. Now I would do 8 to 6. I wouldn't do 8 to 8 because frankly I'm in bed by 8 or 9. But on Sunday is my family day. And if you is that okay with you? Because I don't work Sundays. If you need to see something on a Sunday, I have plenty of agents that are colleagues of mine. I can get me to open the doors for you, but I don't work Sundays. If you have a problem, then I'm probably the wrong agent for you. Never lost a customer.
yeah. I mean, you have to understand that we don't not 24/7, three sixty
And then
five.
the way I use my modern team model, the way we'll pretend you're the customer, I say, let me explain how I run my business. My superpower is finding your home, which by the way, I still do that. I like that. It's fun. It takes me
Yeah,
15 minutes. I have to look for a list of properties. I don't set the appointments. I just look at find the homes. My superpower is finding your homes. I'm really actually finding your homes, negotiating the best deal you'll ever get, and making sure you're close. I'm really, really good at it. You'll always hear me say really, really, by the way. It's very psychologically powerful. What I don't do is I actually don't show property. I pay agents to show property for me because anybody can open the door, right?
yeah,
And I do that, and they do that exactly what you just did. They say yes, all 100%. I've never lost a customer, not one, right?
yeah.
In the last 10 years of doing this, and then that's it. So they appreciate it. I go, you're gonna have me, you're gonna have general manager Pat helping you with all this stuff. And my transaction word is I forget her name because I just had a new one. But that's how I run my business, and that's how I tell them. And all those customers, they appreciate it. I get all these people helping me. But the most important thing with me is I'm going to find your home and I'm going to negotiate the best deal you'll ever get.
Yeah. That's pretty much what we really do.
Yeah.
I mean, in today's market, or the last 3-4 years, I know you've been a little bit on the sidelines and finding property, but the last few years, it's been mostly the negotiation part and the knowledge that goes into the from contract to close that you help them with the inspections and help them go through the inspection report and explain to them what's what.
I still do that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, my general manager does that part now, but I don't do it
yeah.
anymore.
But that's the part that became valuable in an agent, because finding a home, everything's on Zillow. They're like looking through it and everything. Like, what we're good in helping is, I think, is to narrow it down for them. Like, hey, man, you told me that your dream home is 3 bed, 2 baths, and and a pool, and you're looking at condos that are 1 bed, 1 bath, and you're telling me that you want to see those, and I'm like, I don't understand. So where did that change? Are you looking for a house? Are you looking for a condo? Are you looking for the price to be under 200,000 or 250 or whatever the house? Because that's what I've noticed a lot. A lot of people are looking at prices and, oh, that's a great price. Let's look at that property. And I'm like, that's not at all what you told me you want to buy. Why are we looking at that? But it's a good price. I'm like, I get it, but you're not going to like it because that's not what you wanted.
Yeah. Right. I talked the customer out of once. I had a customer I love working with engineers because engineers come with spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Right? This guy has spreadsheet, all the must-haves and not the definite nots, right? The wants, the needs, the wants, and then don't want. And he wanted a condo under $300,000 with no more than time $300 condo fee, no bigger than 1,200 square feet. He was only using it part time to come down and see his family. He lived up in Minnesota or North Dakota, one of those areas. And so, anyways, he's out with his son, who happens to be a friend of mine's baseball player, retired from the Phillies, and they're on this 8 or 10 person golf cart, and they're partying, and they went to buy this house that was for sale. We're partying with the owner of the house. It was. He calls me up the next day. I want to make an offer on this house. I go, what is it? So I looked at it. $750,000. It was $1,000 a month for the HOA for that community. Right? It was everything he said. It was like 5 bedroom. Right? I want that. I go, all right, I will gladly write that for you, but I want to talk to you and your wife first. I could get her on the phone. So I made her get on the phone too. I go, if I sell you that house, you guys are going to hate me. Because I pulled up and I said, I'm looking at your spreadsheet right now. 300 grand, $300 HOA, no more than 2 bedrooms, no more than 1,200 square feet. I go, if you buy this house, you're going to hate me. I go, I'll sell it to you. I'm going to make twice as much money. Right. And I go, but my professional opinion is do not buy this house. We looked at a great condo that fit everything that is on your spreadsheet last week. I go, that's what we should buy. So she's like, he's right, And I'm like, and so they bought the $300,000, and then 3 years later bought a $700,000 house for me.
Yeah, I mean, but that's.
But if I, so you have to be willing to not sell anybody. My slogan is, I don't sell you, I help you. Been my slogan for years, multiple businesses, because I really sell that way. I sell from the heart. I'm not going to sell anybody anything that they don't want. I don't care. And when you're an engineer, you tell me exactly what you want, and then you get drunk one night, you want this. I'm like, sorry, you're full of crap. You don't want that. You're going to be pissed.
I so agree to you, and I agree with you with that. And I do the same thing. It's like, it's not about the money. It's more about what you want, I'm like, I'll be happy to write up a contract, but it's not what you told me that you wanted. You're going to be miserable there probably. Or if you don't like it, you can always sell it and get something bigger. But this is what your, requirements were, like, I mean, why are we, out of our price range or under our price range, or not even under a price range? We're under a price range. It's fine. As long as the scope of what they were looking for fits into that, but yeah, like, need this, need that. But, this gal's got to gives us that. I was like, yeah, but it's missing this and that. Your budget is like another $50,000. We could find this, what you actually want for the budget, but whatever, at that point.
Yeah.
Well, Mitch,
it's a funny business. That's for sure.
It is. It's like, it's the same way as I love going shopping with my wife sometimes. She's picking through all the clothes. I'm like, I go in, I know what I want, boom, grab it and run out, and then she's like, oh, well, I can't go shopping with you because you're just impatient. I'm like, I'm not impatient. I just know what I'm going in for.
This is what they say. Women shop like this, right? And guys shop like this.
Exactly. But it's the same way with house buying. People just go in and, they kind of have an idea what they want, but they look around everywhere, like the whole market, like they walk the whole market before they decide. And I'm like, but you know exactly what you want from where in the market. So why don't we just go there? Because that's at the end.
If you do a good job as an agent, you can, my most homes I would ever show a customer, I'm talking when we had 10,000 listings, was 16. I'd show 8 on one day and 8 on the next day. And I knew the house that I was showing 7th on the second day was the house they were going to buy. And 2 days ago, I didn't spend more than 2 days with any. I had probably, out of the 1,325 homes I think I saw last time that I sold, I bet you I can think of 3 customers that I sold more than 16 homes.
I'm probably in that average too, usually, because I kind of have them, make a decision at some point. Because when they send you the list, these are the homes I want to see. I said, and I always tell them this: when you send me a list of 10 homes, your top 10 homes, you have the home that you're going to buy on that list already.
Right.
It's like, I'm 100% sure that your top number 3, first 3 homes that you pick from that list is going to be one that you're going to buy. The other ones are just there to, do something because, the realtors make so much money and they don't do anything, so you just want to drive around with a realtor for another, 4 or 5 hours to see the other ones.
If you educate your customer, right, they don't want to do that either. I mean, they think they do, but and it just depends on especially with us living in Florida, right? We have people all the time that come down that will pretend they're a buyer. They just want to look at nice houses.
Not anymore. Not with the buyer agreements.
Not with the buyer brokerage agreement, yeah.
No, since last year, I think I had, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 calls to Realtor.com. I was marketing with them still. And every time I told them, hey, we got to sit down for an hour, have a conversation before we go look at houses, because we have to make an agreement between each other. I have to show you my values and my worth, and you have to sign an agreement saying that you're going to pay me X amount of dollars or X amount of percentage on the purchase of a house. And I'd say 9 out of 10 said, it's okay, I'm not that ready yet.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, what? It's just an hour sitting down for coffee. I'm buying, it's not like it's going to cost you anything more than an hour sitting down at Starbucks, but they'd rather not do that because it's a bigger pain than. Yeah.
Well, that's what they'll say. They're not really ready to buy right now.
Exactly.
They're just thinking about buying.
Yeah, pretty much.
or again, they're down here, they want to look at a nice riverfront property or oceanfront property, right? I had a customer once, it's really funny, I know we got to get off. They would call me at dusk to look at riverfront properties, because we have the intercoastal here, like you guys up there, right?
Yeah.
And they would bring a bottle of wine, and sit on the back deck of every house we went to. And after like 6 houses, I go, you guys aren't buying a house. Oh no, we're real serious about buying. I go, I'm going to be honest with you. You're not, and you need to find another realtor, because I'm not going to leave my family at dusk when I'm just getting ready to sit down for dinner, because that's the only time I could eat when dusk was over. When it was dusk, I could enter a property. And because so you and your husband can sit here and have a glass of wine and look at the pretty view of the sun setting.
Wow. That is a story. That is a story. I didn't have that yet. So
you will.
One day, I'm for sure I'm going to have that. I'm like, oh my God, I remember that story Mitch told me about. It's happening to me right now. Mitch Ribak just dropped the real estate freedom formula. And if you're ready to stop running your business like a 24/7 emergency line and start designing a life you love, now's the time to take action. You can connect with Mitch at www.mitchribak.com. Email him directly at mitch@mitchrealty.com, or give him a call. It's going to be down underneath in the description. Trust me, he's the real deal. If the episode lit a fire under you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow agents who needs to hear this message. This is the Real Estate Roundtable, where freedom, fulfillment, and financial success all sit at the same table. See you next time. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.